Good evening, dear parents, caregivers, mentors, and all those who carry the sacred duty of shaping young minds. I want you to take a deep breath right now, wherever you are, whether you're driving home from work, folding laundry while your little one plays nearby, sitting in your living room, exhausted from another battle of bedtime negotiations, or maybe just scrolling to find some hope. Yes, this is for you. Pause. Breathe in and know this. You are not alone, and what you do every single day matters more than you realize. Today, I want to talk to you not as a psychologist, not as a parenting expert, not as Dr. Jack Jordan standing on a stage or behind a podium, but as a fellow human being, as a son who grew up in a home full of tension and silence, as a father who once yelled because he didn't know a better way, and as a man who made a decision to break the cycle and raise his kids with intention, not. Let's be honest with ourselves. Raising kids is not just about following the rules of a parenting book or applying the latest trending techniques. An emotional, unpredictable, soul-stretching journey. There are days when you feel like a superhero and days when you feel like a failure. Nights when you cry quietly because the guilt of snapping at your child weighs heavier than sleep. Mornings when you vow to be patient and peaceful only to find yourself yelling before breakfast is even over. And it's in those raw human moments that the seeds of transformation lie. Because what if I told you that you don't need to yell to be heard? What if I told you that punishment isn't the key to discipline, but rather a detour from connection? And what if I told you that the path to raising confident, resilient, emotionally intelligent children starts with changing one thing, not your child, but yourself? I know that's a bold statement, but stay with me. You see, when we yell, we are not just raising our voices, we are lowering our connection. When we punish, we are not correcting behavior, we are damaging trust. And when we demand obedience without understanding, we are not building character, we are suppressing spirit. We all want our children to grow up to be strong, respectful, emotionally intelligent, and self-aware. We want them to handle life with courage, make wise decisions, respect others, and most importantly, respect themselves. But let me ask you this. How can a child develop inner confidence if their home environment is filled with fear? How can a child trust themselves when they are constantly doubting whether they are good enough in the eyes of the people they love the most? Confidence does not grow in the soil of fear. It grows in the soil of unconditional love, consistent guidance, mutual respect, and emotional safety. When children feel safe to make mistakes without being shamed, when they know they can speak without being silenced, when they feel accepted even when they fall short, that's when true confidence is born. We yell because we feel powerless. We punish because we panic. But neither of these methods creates long-term growth. They might give us momentary control, yes. They might silence the child, yes. But silence is not understanding. Obedience is not wisdom. And fear is not respect. Now, let me take you into a real moment, a moment that shifted everything for me. One day, my daughter was 4 years old. I had a long, stressful day at work. The bills were piling up and my head was pounding. She accidentally spilled juice all over the carpet. I exploded. I yelled. She froze. Her bottom lip quivered and she said the words that shattered me. Daddy, I was trying to help. That moment hit me like a freight train. She wasn't misbehaving. She wasn't careless. She was trying to do something good, pour her own juice, and it didn't go as planned. But my reaction taught her that mistakes bring anger. And in that second, I realized I don't want to raise a child who's afraid to try because she's afraid of me. From that day, I began unlearning everything I thought discipline was supposed to be. I began learning the art of connection before correction. And here's what I discovered along the way and what I want to share with you today. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's not about controlling behavior. It's about guiding hearts. It's not about demanding respect. It's about modeling it. So, how do we raise confident kids without yelling or punishing? It starts with one word: connection. Children who feel connected are naturally more cooperative. They don't need to be forced, they need to feel understood. When we make the emotional deposits of empathy, presence, and validation, we build the kind of relationship that motivates a child to listen, not because they're afraid, but because they care. Let me invite you to pause for a moment here. If what I'm saying resonates with you, if you've ever found yourself wondering if there's a better way, if you want to parent with intention and strength without the shadows of guilt, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel because we are building a space of hope, a place where we talk about real change and real healing. And hey, I genuinely want to hear from you. Drop your struggles or thoughts in the comment section below. What do you find hardest about raising kids without yelling? Let's grow together. Now, let's get back into this because this is where it gets transformational. One of the most powerful things you can say to your child when they mess up is, I'm here. Let's figure it out together. That one sentence shifts the dynamic from punishment to partnership. It says, I'm not above you, I am beside you. And that builds trust, not fear. Another key: name the emotion before you correct the behavior. Your child hits their sibling not because they are evil, but because they are overwhelmed, jealous, hurt, or scared. It looks like you're really angry that your sister took your toy. Let's talk about that. Notice that you're not ignoring the behavior, you're addressing the cause. And when you treat emotions as valid, your child learns to express instead of explode. Discipline, my friends, is about teaching, and teaching requires patience, consistency, and most of all, emotional regulation. If we want emotionally regulated children, we must first become emotionally regulated adults. This is the part we don't like to hear, but it's the part that holds the greatest power. Your child is not giving you a hard time, they are having a hard time. And every moment of misbehavior is an opportunity to understand them better. Let me say that again. Misbehavior is a signal, not a threat. It's communication in disguise. And our job is to decode the message, not destroy the messenger. I've coached hundreds of families, and the pattern is always the same. The more we punish, the more the behavior escalates. Why? Because punishment treats the symptoms, not the root. It teaches avoidance, not accountability. Children start hiding their actions, lying to avoid consequences, or shutting down emotionally. And that's not growth. That's survival. But when you shift to connection-based discipline, when you sit with your child, breathe with them, talk them through it, listen, guide, and hold them accountable with compassion, something powerful happens. They start to internalize values, not just rules. They begin to develop a moral compass, not just fear of punishment. They grow into leaders, not followers. One of my favorite tools is the power of choice. You can brush your teeth now and pick the bedtime story, or I'll choose the story if you wait too long. No threats, just clear, calm boundaries. Another one is curiosity over control. You seem upset about getting off the iPad. What's going on? That one question turns conflict into connection. You might be wondering, what about consequences? Aren't they important? Yes, but there's a difference between punishment and logical consequences. Punishment is reactive. Logical consequences are connected, respectful, and teach responsibility. For example, the toy was thrown, so we'll put it away until tomorrow. We'll try again then. No shame, no lecture, just calm consistency. And let's not forget the role of modeling. Your child learns more from what you do than what you say. If to handle stress by yelling, they will too. If you apologize when you mess up, they will learn to do the same. If you stay calm in chaos, they will absorb that peace. Be who you want them to become. Raising confident kids without yelling or punishment is not about being soft. It's about being strong enough to stay calm, wise enough to look deeper, and brave enough to parent differently than how you were parented. And trust me, that takes more strength than shouting ever will. Now, I want to leave you with this thought. A seed, if you will, to plant in your heart. Every moment with your child is a brick in the foundation of their future. The tone of your voice becomes their inner voice. The way you handle their emotions becomes the way they handle their own. And the respect you give becomes the self-respect they carry into the world. So tonight, when your child throws a tantrum, when your teen slams the door, when your patience is paper thin, ask yourself not how do I control this, but how do I connect here? That question will change your parenting. That question will change your child. That question will change you. This is Dr. Jack Jordan, and I want you to know you've got what it takes. You can raise kids who are confident, kind, self-aware, and strong without yelling, without punishment, and without repeating the pain of the past. You are not alone. You are not failing. You are learning. And your children are watching you rise. Thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for choosing love over fear. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to subscribe, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and let's build a future where connection, not control, is the heart of every home. Teach emotional vocabulary early. Good evening to every parent, educator, guardian, and mentor listening to me right now. Not just with your ears, but with your heart wide open. Wherever you are, whatever the age of your child or the season of life you're walking through, I want to speak directly to your spirit. Not the part of you that's tired, stretched thin, or overwhelmed by the daily chaos of raising or teaching children, but to the part of you that longs to get it right, the part that still believes that love can change a life, that words can build a world, and that the future of our children depends not only on what we teach, but on what we model every single day. Today, I want to take you on a journey into a part of parenting and child development that is often overlooked, underestimated, and misunderstood. I want to talk to you about something more foundational than math skills, more important than grades, more powerful than rules, and more transformative than punishment, and that is the ability to recognize, name, and express emotions. This ability, my friends, is not just some soft, optional bonus skill that kids will pick up eventually. No, this is the core of confidence. It is the birthplace of empathy. It is the foundation of mental resilience. And it is the soil in which every healthy relationship, whether at home, at school, or in the workplace, is rooted. I want to say this clearly. Teach emotional vocabulary early, not someday, not when they're older, not when life forces it, but early. Because if a child cannot name what they feel, they cannot manage what they feel. And when emotions go unnamed, they do not disappear. They explode, they shut down, or they twist themselves into behaviors we don't understand. Let me take you into a moment that changed how I viewed everything. I was speaking at a school, watching a group of kindergartners play during recess. One little boy accidentally knocked over another while running to the swing set. The boy who fell began crying, not loud, but the kind of hurt cry that stabs your chest. And teacher rushed over and said, "You're fine, shake it off." The little boy stopped crying, but not because he was okay. He stopped because his feelings had just been dismissed again. And what broke my heart was how quickly he accepted that, not because he was strong, but because he was already learning that emotions are inconvenient, messy, and best hidden. He didn't learn resilience in that moment. He learned repression. That boy might grow up thinking strength means silence, that sadness is weakness, that vulnerability is a flaw. And if no one teaches him otherwise, he may carry that lesson into every friendship, every relationship, every challenge until one day his emotions come out sideways through anger, withdrawal, or fear disguised as pride. See, when we tell our kids to stop crying, toughen up, calm down, without first acknowledging what they're actually feeling, we are not helping them regulate. We are teaching them to suppress. And suppressed emotions do not evaporate. They evolve into anxiety, aggression, depression, avoidance, or dysfunction. The good news? We can change that. We can raise a generation of emotionally intelligent children, but it starts with us. It starts with teaching them the words they need to understand their inner world. Imagine this. A 3-year-old learns to say, I'm mad instead of hitting. A 7-year-old says, I feel left out instead of storming off. A 10-year-old says, I'm nervous about my test instead of pretending not to care. And a 16-year-old says, I'm overwhelmed instead of shutting everyone out. That kind of emotional fluency isn't a fantasy. It's a skill. And the earlier we start, the stronger their emotional foundation becomes. Let's break this down practically, but not in a way that feels like homework. I'm not here to give you a checklist. I'm here to shift your lens. Start by naming emotions out loud in real time. When your child cries, instead of rushing to stop the tears, say, it looks like you're feeling really sad right now. Want to talk about it? When your child slams the door in frustration, instead of yelling back, say, you seem really angry. I get it. Anger is okay. Let's figure out what's going on. You are not just pacifying them, you are empowering them. You are handing them the vocabulary of self-awareness. And when you do this consistently, when you name the emotion, not just the behavior, you teach your child that all feelings are allowed, even if all behaviors are not. You teach them that feeling deeply doesn't make them weak, it makes them human. You show them that their inner world is valid, worth understanding, and never too much for the people who love them. And I know what some of you might be thinking right now, but Dr. Jack, what about boundaries? What about respect? I can't just let my child scream or throw things every time they are upset. And you're absolutely right. Boundaries matter. Respect matters. But emotional literacy doesn't erase discipline, it refines it. When a child knows how to express what they're feeling, they're less likely to act out. And when a parent can respond to emotions without fear, they are more likely to guide behavior without shame. You cannot correct what you do not understand, and your child cannot grow through what they cannot name. That is why emotional vocabulary is not optional. It is essential. Let me say something you may have never heard before. Your child's emotions are not a problem to solve. They are a message to decode. And when you become fluent in the language of emotion, you stop reacting and start responding. You stop fearing tantrums and start understanding triggers. You stop controlling and you start connecting. Emotional intelligence starts in the home, and it doesn't begin with the child. It begins with you. It begins with you being brave enough to do what maybe no one did for you. Maybe you are raised in a house where tears were punished, where anger was dangerous, where sadness was weakness. Maybe you learned to stuff your emotions into tight corners of your heart just to survive, but your past doesn't have to become your child's blueprint. You can rewrite the story. You can raise children who aren't afraid of how they feel, children who don't implode, who don't lash out, who don't shut down. But that means you must be willing to meet your child's emotions without trying to fix them too quickly. You must be willing to sit in the storm even when it makes you uncomfortable. You must be willing to say, it's okay to feel what you feel. I'm here. We'll work through this together. That sentence alone can change a life. You see, emotional vocabulary is not just about knowing the words. It's about knowing how to use them in moments of tension. It's not just teaching your child to say, I am angry. It's teaching them what to do with their anger. It's not just labeling feelings. It's guiding actions. And yes, that takes time. It takes repetition. It takes patience. But what's the alternative? A child who grows into an adult unable to process grief, unable to ask for help, unable to speak their truth, that cost is far greater. If we want to raise confident kids, kids who stand tall in who they are, who don't crumble under pressure, who don't seek validation in unhealthy places, we must teach them emotional vocabulary early. Because confidence is not loud, it is not boastful. True confidence is quiet clarity, it is self-awareness. It is knowing what you feel, why you feel it, and how to move through it with grace and truth. Let me give you one more image to hold on to. Imagine you're walking through a dark forest with your child. Emotions are like trees in that forest, some tall, some twisted, some shadowy. Without words, your child is blind in that forest. They bump into anger, trip over shame, get lost in fear. But when you give them words, you give them light, you give them a map, you give them the courage to say, this is fear, I can name it, I can navigate it, and suddenly that forest doesn't feel so scary. That is the power of emotional vocabulary. It turns darkness into direction. If this message resonates with you, if you want to raise a child who knows how to feel without falling apart, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, because we are not just raising children, we are raising a generation of emotionally wise, rounded, and confident human beings. And please share your thoughts in the comments. What do you wish you had been taught about emotions growing up? What are you trying to teach your child now? Let's learn and grow together. This is not about perfection. This is about progress. It's about showing up again and again, naming the emotion even when you're tired, listening even when it's inconvenient, regulating yourself so you can co-regulate with your child. And every time you name an emotion, you build a bridge. Every time you validate a feeling, you build trust. And every time you sit with your child through the hard moments without rushing to fix them, you build resilience. So let's do it. Let's raise children who are not afraid of their emotions. Let's raise children who speak their truth, honor their hearts, and walk through life knowing that no feeling is too big for love. Let's raise a generation of emotionally fluent humans, and let's start today. This is Dr. Jack Jordan, and I want you to know you are not just teaching your child how to behave. You are teaching them how to be. You are not just managing tantrums. You are shaping a nervous system. You are not just parenting a child, you are parenting a future adult. And that mission, that calling, it is sacred. You are the translator of your child's inner world. Be patient, be present, and most of all, be emotionally available. Thank you. Let's build this future together.